Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today we are doing something very different from our typical channel here. So yes, we are doing a fun, exciting book review, but no, we're not doing like a college professional level book review. I'm going to do something a little different, a little fun here. So this book is titled A Day in Code, Python, Learn to Code in Python Through an Illustrated Story by Shari Eskenas. I'm sorry if I've mispronounced your name, but this book was sent to me by the author. I figured we'd do something a little different, a little fun for the channel. Many of you that are actually watching this channel are my age or older, so you probably have kids. This is a really good book, I think, for actually getting kids into programming in Python. And I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to take a stab at the age range that I think it's for. So again, I don't have kids in this age range, but this is kind of what I'm expecting given my experience. So to start off with here, the structure of the book is really interesting. Now, it is a fairly thin book. Okay, so this is actually a children's book. This is not going to be like some massive textbook that's going to bore your children. But I really like the structure of the book. So if you look through a lot of this book, as we're kind of looking at it, you'll see it has great illustrations. So they're bright in color, and it's an actual story just like a kid's book. Okay, so this is not like a boring, let me show you how to code and kind of diving in step by step and going through it. It does that, but it's trying to kind of blend an entertaining children's book, children's story here, basically going through a day of two children who like computers. And I like the structure because it sets up a few pages at the beginning to kind of get you into the story of these two kids that like their computers, right? And the computers are always telling stories to them. And basically these kids want to tell the computer a story, but you need to be able to speak, right? Some computer language here, of course. And so we dive into Python. And every single page I would think would be somewhat like a lesson. So I'm going to estimate the age group here probably between like 4th grade and 6th grade in the US, which I believe is like, oh man, age groups here. I think 6th grade is up to 12, which would put you at probably about 9 or 10 to 12, kind of that range for age here. But what I like about this book is that it's written for kids. A lot of it is all descriptions, explaining things, tying the story details together with it. But it does so in an easy way, right? There's going to be terminology that you're going to need for programming in Python. And so you need to learn the terminology. But again, being able to explain that to a child or a kid here is going to be somewhat of a challenge. And I think the author actually has a really good way of describing these in a way that they put like the technical terms sometimes in parentheses afterwards. So you go, oh, okay, right. I understand the sentence, and then there's a technical term that goes with that. I like the design as well because there is a nice, pretty illustrated picture on the right-hand side of every single page that you open to. And then on the left-hand side, it's going to give you a block of code, and it's going to give you kind of a storyline. And of course, the first few pages are going to start off with very small sets of code, something very easy to understand. And then as you build out through the end of these kids' day, right, you get to a much larger kind of block of code here that tests for a few things. In the story, it tests for fireworks and some other stuff, which I'm not going to go through. Don't want to spoil too much of this short book for you, but it does a really good job at that. And so I think the perfect way to use this book, and right now I guess is kind of coming at the perfect timing, maybe a little late, I think this would be an amazing book to do as like a summer book, because I think a kid, between 4th grade and 6th grade here would easily be able to pick up the book, read the first few pages, in, I don't know, half an hour or so, 20 minutes, and then get the idea, and then be able to program out one of these, I'm going to call them chapters, that they're not chapters, where it has a really nice illustrated page, and it has kind of the story in a block of code. It should take your kid, I'm guessing, between half an hour to an hour to really understand it, read it, write some code, understand it, see how it goes, and then they can put the book away, right, and go watch TV or play outside or do something fun and exciting. And then I can see coming back, the next day, maybe a few days later, and then opening up to the next section of these kids' day, right? You're excited to kind of know what's going on, and then you come back in here and you're going to say, okay, this is the code, and this is how it works, and this is what these kids are doing for the day, and I'm going to write out some code on the computer, so get some fun computer time, but also kind of work your way slowly through, right, these kids' day and the story here. So I give this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars here. I think the book is quite amazing, to be honest with you. I think the approach the author's taking of trying to write a children's book and learn to code at the same time and do it very technically is very, very well done here. I like the illustrations as well. I like that you're targeting this age group here. The book is a little bit short, which is fine. Again, if you're going to be doing this as like a workbook, or you're going to be working through it with your child, you're not going to want like a massive, ridiculously dense, thick book. But I wish it was just like a little bit longer, or maybe if like the author actually came out with like a sequel and had another one or another day or some other theme to go with it. But again, I think it is well put together. The illustrations are great. I think targeting again between 4th grade and 6th grade is where you're going to get your most bang for your buck for interest on your child, but also something that they can actually grasp and do. Less than 4th grade, I don't think it's quite possible to kind of grasp some of what's going on inside the book, be able to learn it and program and code it. And then if you get a bit older, you're probably going to be looking, so let's say, I don't know, junior high or high school, you're going to be looking for something that's a little bit thicker, a little bit denser, a little more, I don't know, maybe story detail. Maybe this is a good way to teach kids even in high school. Maybe this would have made me code a little bit more a little earlier. But in general, I really enjoyed this book. I'm going to put a link in the description below, so if you want to check out this book on Amazon, feel free to buy it there. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and as always, until next time.